All right, so today's class, just a quick review. The last form of the equation for a line we looked at was y equals mx plus b, where m represented slope, the b represented the y-intercept. So today we're going to look at the general form, ax plus by plus c equals to 0. So basically, what we see in this general form is that everything is collected to one side of the equation, usually the left side, and the equation is made equal to 0. All right, so we're going to have to use our algebra skills today, working with converting between these two forms. And the general form, a, b, and c, those represent integers, and a we usually like to keep positive. So the number associated with x is usually kept positive. So you're going to move it to the right or left in order to keep the a positive. One other thing to note is the general form can also be called the standard form. So I'm just going to add that here. So aka a standard form. All right, so the general form is also called the standard form. All right, so let's take a look at our first example. Our first example, we have an equation written in y equals mx plus b, and we need to convert it to the general form. So if we had y equals 5x minus 8, like that, we need to move everything over to one side, make the equation equal to 0, but we want to keep our x positive. So if we keep our 5x here, we keep our minus 8 here, we can move our y to the right-hand side just by subtracting it. All right, so you subtract y to both sides of the equation. So we're left with 0 equals 5x minus y, because we have to keep it as ax plus by plus c. So 5x minus y minus 8. All right, so that's our equation. Note that we can write this as well as 5x minus y minus 8 equals 0 as well. All right, so the equation, we have made it equal to 0. We have kept our a coefficient here for a. We have kept positive. Okay, let's try the next one. We have y is equal to 2 over 3x plus 7. So again, it's in the y equals mx plus b form, and we just want to change this to the general form. All right, and usually, like I said before, we have to keep the a, b, and c as integers. So we just got to get rid of this fraction as well. So the first thing to do here to remove the fraction is we have to multiply everything by 3. All right, so I'm just going to show that we are multiplying the whole equation by 3. So we're going to end up with 3y is equal to 3 times 2 over 3x plus 3 times the 7. All right, and that again was to get rid of this fraction here. All right, so now we will end up with 3 and 3 will cancel out. So we end up with 3y equals 2x plus 3 times 7 here is 21. All right, our last step here is we have to make our equation equal to 0. So 2x is already positive on this side, so we just have to subtract 3y to this side to make the equation equal to 0. So just subtract 3y, and we end up with 0 is equal to 2x minus 3y plus 21. All right, so equation is equal to 0, and we've made sure that our numerical coefficient for x is a positive integer. Okay, let's take a look at the next example here. C, y is equal to, this one is a negative 1 over 4x plus 3 over 5. Okay, so again, we need integers, and we have fractions here. So to get rid of the fractions, we'll use 4 times 5, so we'll use 20. Multiply this whole equation by 20 to get rid of these fractions. So multiplying everything by 20, I'm going to get 20y is equal to 20 times negative 1 over 4x plus 20 times 3 over 5. So it looks like this. All right, now I'm going to go ahead and reduce these fractions. We're using 20 because there's a 4 and a 5. So a common multiple of 4 and 5 has is 20 to get rid of that fraction. Okay, and so here 20y, so 20 divided by 4, when we reduce this, that's going to give me, reduce that to 5. 20 divided by 4 gives me 5, but it's a negative 1x we're multiplying it by, so it becomes negative 5x. Here, 20 divided by 5 is 4, and then 4 times 3 gives me 12. All right, so we end up with 20y equals negative 5x plus 12. So in this case, our x coefficient here is a negative 5, and we want to keep it positive. So therefore, we have to move everything over to the left-hand side. All right, so we add 5x to both sides. And we also have to subtract 12 on both sides. Like this, so that our equation is now 0 on the right-hand side. So that and that becomes 0. And now we're left with, I'm going to write it in order. So ax plus by plus c. So we get a 5x plus 20y minus 12 is equal to 0. And that is now in the proper general form. All right, in these next examples, we are given the general form and we want to convert it to y equals mx plus b form. And the reason we would want to convert it to that form is maybe we need to figure out what the slope is, or maybe we want to find out what the y-intercept is. So we could easily do that, again, just using our algebra skills. All right, so to put it into y equals mx plus b form is what we are trying to do. So all we need to do is we need to move the 5y here, the negative 5y. We'll move it over to the right-hand side. So on the left-hand side, okay, so we're going to add 5y to both sides. That leaves me with 2x plus 25 is equal to 5y. All right, and it's still not in y equals mx plus b form because we still need to divide by 5 to get rid of this 5 here. So we're gonna, it's 5 times y, which is being multiplied. So we divide by 5. You have to divide both sides by 5. All right, so now we're left with 2 over 5x here. And then 25 divided by 5 leaves me with 5. And that's equal to y. All right, and again, you can just rewrite that so it looks like y equals 2 over 5x plus 5. All right, so now we have our slope. Our slope is 2 over 5. And we have our y-intercept, which is at 5. y-intercept is at 5. All right, our next example, we have 6x plus 2y minus 15 equals 0. So this is the general form, and we want to convert this to the y equals mx plus b form. All right, so we will keep our 2y here because it's already positive. So we'll leave the 2y here, and we will take the 6x and the negative 15 and move it to the right-hand side of the equation. So to do that, we have to subtract negative 6x and we have to add 15. You got to do that to both sides. So negative 6x and plus 15. All right, so then we are left with 2y is equal to negative 6x plus 15. Okay, so it's still not in y equals mx plus b form because of this 2 here. So we have to divide the whole equation. We have to divide by 2. 2y divided by 2 leaves me with y. Negative 6x divided by 2 leaves me with negative 3x. And then 15 divided by 2, we can't reduce that further, so we'll just leave it as plus 15 over 2. All right, so now we have our slope and we have our y-intercept. So our slope is negative 3 and our y-intercept is 15 over 2. All right, so the next example we have, we're given two lines. So the lines 3x minus 4y plus 8 equals 0. And the second line, 5x minus ky minus 6 equals 0. These both lines have the same y-intercept. We have to determine what k is. All right, so the first thing we're going to do is put both of these equations into y equals mx plus b form, because in that form, the b represents the y-intercept. So 3x minus 4y, let's do that one first. 3x minus 4y plus 8 equals 0. So converting this to y equals mx plus b. So since I have a negative 4y, it makes sense to bring that over to this side. So I'm going to have 3x plus 8 equals 4y. So all I did was add 4y to both sides. And now I just have to divide by 4 on both sides. So that leaves me with 3 over 4x, and then 8 divided by 4 gives me 2, and it's equal to y. And again, you can rewrite it so it's y equals 3 over 4x plus 2. Okay, so now we have our y-intercept. Our y-intercept is at positive 2. So just note that down. Our y-intercept is at 2. All right, let's take a look at our second equation, which was 5x minus ky minus 6 equals 0. And now we know that as well, this line will also have a y-intercept of 2. Okay, so I'm just going to add ky to the other side. So I end up with 5x minus 6 equals ky. And then to isolate y, I have to divide by k, so that we have it in y equals form. So we end up with 5 over kx minus 6 over k is equal to y. So our y-intercept here is our y-intercept. This is our slope. This is our y-intercept. Our y-intercept is negative 6 over k. All right, now we know that both of the y-intercepts are supposed to be the same. That's what we're told in the question. So now we can make 2 equal to negative 6 over k. And we just have to solve for k. So we'll just multiply sides by k. So we have 2k is equal to negative 6. And then just divide by 2. And k is equal to negative 6 divided by 2, which is negative 3. Okay, so next question, we are given we're given a line 4x minus 2y plus 9 equals 0, and we have to figure out which of these three lines are perpendicular to it. So the first thing we'll do is we'll take our given line 4x minus 2y plus 9 equals 0. We'll convert it to y equals mx plus b. Therefore, we can get its slope because we know the slope of a perpendicular line will be the negative reciprocal. Okay, so let's do that right here. So our given line, 4x minus 2y plus 9 is equal to 0. And we need to solve so that it's in y equals form. So let's move this 2y over here. So we're left with 4x plus 9 equals 2y. All right, it was negative 2y. I've just added it to both sides. Okay, next we just have to divide by 2, both sides like that. So we're left with 4x divided by 2 is 2x plus 9 over 2 is equal to y. And I'm just going to write it this way. So y equals 2x plus 9 over 2. All right, so now we have it in y equals mx plus b form. There's our slope. Our slope is, sorry, this is our y-intercept. Our slope is 2. All right, so our slope is 2. So now that we know our slope, the line that's perpendicular to this line has to have a slope of negative 1 over 2 to be a perpendicular line. So let's take a look at our three lines. Let's convert them all to y equals mx plus b form, and let's take a look at their slopes. So the first one is 6x plus 3y minus 1. So I'm going to subtract 6x and add the 1 to both sides. So I'll have 3y is equal to negative 6x plus 1, and then divide by 3. Divide by 3, so we're left with y is equal to negative 2x plus 1 over 3. All right, our slope here is negative 2. That is not perpendicular. All right, because we saw that our slope has to be, sorry, I'm just going to add that here. Perpendicular slope would have to equal to negative 1 over 2. Okay, so a perpendicular slope would have to equal to negative 1 over 2. So our slope here is negative 2, so therefore not perpendicular. Okay, let's look at our next one. 2y here is positive, so I'm going to subtract the x and add the 12 to the other side. So 2y is equal to negative x plus 12. And then I have to divide by 2. So we're left with y is equal to negative 1 over 2x plus 12 divided by 2, which is 6. All right, so here our slope is negative 1 over 2, so that works. This one will be a perpendicular line. All right, and our third line is 5x plus 10y equals 0. So I'm just going to subtract the 5x. So we're left with 10y equals negative 5x. And then we divide by 10. And this can be reduced. Y is equal to negative 1 over 2x. And y-intercept would be 0, would be plus 0. And so here our slope is equal to negative 1 over 2. Okay, so the two lines that will be perpendicular to the original line would be 2 and 3. So 2 and 3 are perpendicular. All right, and they're perpendicular because our slope of the original line was 2, and the slopes of 2 and 3 were negative 1 over 2. Okay, our next example here, write the equation of a line that's perpendicular to 2x plus 5y minus 7 equals 0, and it has to have the same y-intercept as 2x plus y minus 6 equals 0. So let's convert the lines to y equals mx plus b form. So let's take the first one, 2x plus 5y minus 7 equals 0. So I'm going to leave my 5y here because it's positive on this side. Subtract negative 2x and add 7. So we end up with 5y is equal to negative 2x plus 7. And then we just have to divide by 5 on both sides. So y is equal to negative 2 over 5x plus 7 over 5. All right, so it has to be perpendicular to this line that we just looked at. So our slope here, the slope is negative 2 over 5. So our perpendicular slope, I'm just going to write perp slope, has to be 5 over 2. Okay, because this one was a negative 2 over 5. Our perpendicular slope will be 5 over 2. Okay, so we've gotten our slope. Next, we know that it has to have the same y-intercept as 2x plus y minus 6 equals 0. So let's change that one into y equals mx plus b form as well. So 2x plus y minus 6 equals 0. I'm going to keep the y here, subtract the 2x, and add the plus 6. So negative 2x plus 6. So now this one is already now in y equals mx plus b form. So from here we can get that our y-intercept is 6. All right, so now that we have our information, we have our slope and we have our y-intercept, we can write this in y equals mx plus b form. So y is equal to 5 over 2x plus 6. So that is the line that we were trying to find. All right, and we've written it in y equals mx plus b form, which is the slope y-intercept form. But the question also asks us to write it in general form as well. All right, so we have a fraction here, 5 over 2. So we just have to get rid of that fraction. So we have to multiply this whole equation by 2. So we'll end up with 2y equals to 2 times 5 over 2x, and then plus 2 times the 6. Okay, so 2 times 5 over 2x, we cross out our 2's, and we're left with 2y equals 5x plus 12. And we want to keep our 5x positive, so we'll move the 2y over to this side. So we'll just subtract 2y. So 0 equals 5x minus 2y plus 12. All right, so this is now in the general form. All right, so slope y-intercept form, y equals mx plus b, and then we've written that same equation into the general form. All right, so we have here a student made the following statements about the line with the equation 2y equals 5x plus 12. The first statement the student made was the line has a slope of 5. The second statement is the line is parallel to 10x minus 4y plus 13 equals 0. And the third statement, the line passes through negative 2, 1. All right, we have to figure out which statements are actually true. All right, so let's take a look at our equation and let's put it into y equals mx plus b form. So our original equation that's given, and that way we'll have our slope and y-intercept. And then we can check to see if his statements or the student's statements are true. So the equation that we were given is 2y equals 5x plus 12. So we just need to put it into y equals mx plus b form, the slope y-intercept form. So we just have to divide by 2 because we already have a 2y on the left-hand side. So we'll just divide by 2 both sides. So we end up with y is equal to 5 over 2x, and then 12 divided by 2 is 6. All right, so that means our slope is 5 over 2, and we know that our y-intercept is 6. All right, so let's take a look at our first statement. The first statement said that the line has a slope of 5. Obviously, it doesn't, so we can already say that statement 1 is wrong. So statement 1 is false. The next statement he made is that the line is parallel to 10x minus 4y plus 13 equals 0. All right, so if it's parallel, then the slope has to be 5 over 2. So let's change that. So it's 10x minus 4y plus 13 equals 0. So let's put that into y equals mx plus b form. What I'm going to do, I have a negative 4y here, so let's bring that over to this side. So we're left with 10x plus 13 equals 4y. And now I just have to divide both sides by 4. All right, 10x over 4, we can reduce that, and it becomes 5 over 2x. And our y-intercept will be plus 13 over 4. Okay, so that's our line. I'm just going to write it like that. Okay, so our slope is 5 over 2. So therefore, we can say statement 2 is correct. And reason being, the slopes are the same. So slope is 5 over 2 here, and our slope of our given line was also 5 over 2. So if lines are parallel, they have to have the exact same slope. All right, so statement 2 is correct. And the last statement he made, or the student made, the line passes through negative 2 and 1. All right, so if the line is passing through negative 2, 1, this is our x, this is our y. We can substitute that into our equation. So our equation was 2y equals 5x plus 12. If the left-hand side is equal to the right-hand side, then it will be correct. So I'm going to substitute the 1 into y. So it becomes 2 times 1. And I'm going to substitute the negative 2 into the x. All right, and left-hand side has to equal to right-hand side. So left-hand side, 2 times 1 is equal to 2. On the right-hand side, 5 times negative 2, that's negative 10 plus 12. And negative 10 plus 12 is also equal to 2. So 2 is equal to 2. So therefore, this point is a line. This point is a point on the line. So then we can say statement 3 is also correct.